So essentially, the story is that there's the four characters. They are there for the course of this dinner, during which they argue about this central thing that at the beginning, Richard Gere's character says, we have to talk about this. And for a long time, they avoid talking about it, and then they talk about it, and it is that their children have been involved in some terrible enterprise, and it is therefore how they deal with it. And what is interesting is that the film sets up a number of characters. Richard Gere is the sort of the slimy wannabe congressman who you immediately imagine can't be trustworthy, when he can't get into a restaurant, walk across the room because he has to shake hands with everybody, and he's constantly on the phone, and he's constantly neglecting his partner, played by Rebecca Hall. Meanwhile, Steve Coogan's character is constantly cross at the world, always sees his glass half full, takes everything as an affront, thinks that his brother that he's always lived in the shadow of his brother, that his brother even took their parents' attention away from them. And during the course of the drama, which, as I said before, is based on a novel by Herman Koch, our assumptions about what each of the characters is like changes. And this all plays out interspersed with the various courses of, as you said before, this very sort of pretentious meal in which everything is described in great literary length, with the maitre d' explaining, exactly what's on. It is basically, it's lark's tongues in aspics, isn't it? And this is drenched in angel tears brought from the Golga Frinchen, outer ring and all the rest of it. And I think on the positive side, I think the performances are all strong. I mean, these are really good players. Steve Coogan, obviously, Richard Gere, Laura Linney, Rebecca Hall. I mean, those are all, as he was saying, the seasoned performers who know what they're doing. And actually, I'm happy to watch them do it. It's very interesting that the film is shot essentially with first takes and no rehearsal. I cannot imagine what that must be like. Our Own Movement has got brilliant work out of Gere in the past. I mean, Time Out of Mind, I think, is one of the things you think of recently when you think of sort of potential awards material for Richard Gere. And they clearly click, and they clearly work together. Our Own Movement's CV, incidentally, as well as a writer, is very impressive. He has a writing credit on Love and Mercy, which I absolutely loved. I think if there's a problem with the film, it is that it is too long. There is a whole sort of Gettysburg section, because what we have is the central dinner.
Steve's character is obsessed with Gettysburg.
Yeah, which is fine, but I'm not sure that as we flash away from it, because when we're in the meal, and the immediate lead up to the meal, Richard Gere arriving in his car, Laura Linney and Steve Coogan having almost an argument, but not quite at home, about whether or not they should actually go in the first place. Once you get to the meal itself, it becomes like a sort of film stage play, a very well filmed stage play. And then the flashbacks and the diversions are not necessarily exactly where they need to be. And I do think that idea of, cutting to the core is always a good idea. And even I, who was intrigued by the ideas and like the players, thought this is running too long. And it is. It's about 20 minutes too long. But I think within the sort of bagginess of it, and I know that some reviewers have turned their noses up at it and found it very hard. The company is very difficult. I mean, they're a suffocating group of people, and
some of the other reviews have been, not that there are any other reviewers in my life other than you, but they've been really hard on it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. What are you going to do? I'm a big fan of Hudson Hawk. I'm not saying this is Hudson Hawk, but I think that there is a good and solid central thing in the movie. I think the problem is it kind of gets lost amid the blancmange of the rest of the. The film is, there's two courses too many. If we just had starter, main course, and dessert, it would have been fine. We lose it. With the fact that it's aperitif and all the rest of it. So it needs to be trimmed down. But I think that there is something at the heart of it. It is a film that is about something, and I think the performances are great. I think Rebecca Hall is really, really great. I think she's great in everything. And I wasn't bored. I was exasperated on some occasions. I thought that it was exasperating.